Hey,
Whoa,
hey.
Hello.
another week. Here we are.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy
What's
Ash
going
Wednesday.
on? Yeah, that is very true. Folks, welcome to the show. I'm Tom. We
I'm
have
George.
George.
And I'm Nick. How you doing?
Welcome to 1925, the New York Giants podcast. Folks, remember to check us out on all of our social media platforms. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook as well at 1925, the New York Giants podcast, or on YouTube at 1925 podcast Big Blue. We'll have this scrolling across for just a moment. And guys, I'm excited for tonight. It's going to be a fun show. George, I'll turn it to you here. We have a very special guest.
Well, thank you, Tom.
To announce.
Who is it?
It is. Oh, you want me to say it? It's It's
joining us today, two-time Super Bowl champion Perry Williams. Key piece, one of the most dominant defenses in this league. Big part of the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. Set the tone for that era. He really helped define that defense. Obviously, this defense is terrifying. By the way, welcome to the show, Perry Williams.
How you doing, man? Thank you for coming along.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, especially with Giant Nation, man. It's always good to be around Giant Nation, man. As long as it's not the Jets, I'm happy. As long as it's not the Jets and the Giant Nation, then we're good to go.
The Jets are one miserable franchise. Let me tell you.
Yeah, we've had some struggles, but nothing like them.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, how you been?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, man. Hey, I'm living, man. I'm living the life, man. I'm doing what I do. I live in North Carolina, where I'm from. I grew up down there in a little town called Hamlet, North Carolina, by way of Raleigh, where I went to school at NC State. Then coming up here to the Big Apple, man, 1983 was a big thrill for me, and I had the great opportunity to play a long time. So it's been great. Transitioning out of the sports world, I've been in that for going on 30 years. So when I left pro football, I went straight to higher education, man, in Fairleigh Dickinson University in Hackensack, Teaneck, New Jersey. And I was there for 23 years, and now I'm here now in Long Island University out here in Brookville, New York. And we've been going on now 7 years. So at the end of the semester, it'll be 30 years. So I'm just living the life, man, trying to change some young people's lives and transformationally make some great things happen for the future, for these young people.
All that time in New York, you haven't developed that New York accent yet. I love it.
No, man, I'm a Southern boy. No, I got a little bit of it. I got a lot of great Italian friends. Some of my guys that they gave me a little verbiage over the years. And I have a bunch of guys that I deal with, people I deal with up here. It's been a great experience for me. But I make my home in North Carolina. That's where I live at, and that's where I will, reside once it's over said and done for me. For his teaching and working in the outreach and community service and stuff like that.
That's
awesome. We're really happy to have you and hear that. Speaking of North Carolina, knowing that you grew up there, where did your competitive drive come from? Growing up down there and
football. But to make it simple, where I come from in North Carolina, it's a small county, a little town. You may have heard of it, Rockingham, where they had a NASCAR racing and stuff like that. Rockingham, Hamlet, North Carolina. So I grew up in a small county, but the thing was, it was like the movies that you guys have witnessed over the years. I'm shooting Friday Night Lights. Friday nights, where I come from, is 50,000 people in the whole county. I'm not saying in one block or 2 blocks, in the whole county. And on 25,000 of them come to the game every Friday night. So it's a football haven down there. It's always been that way since 1973 when that high school was built. And we've had a lot of great success through our high school program down there. Obviously, you hear me, I'm boasting about that, my high school program. But it's been a lot of great guys come out of there. Some of names you've heard of from the sports world, football world. And since 1973, we've had 27 NFL players come out of there.
Can I hear some of them?
Guys, I named somebody you've heard of, some of the old school guys. A guy named Mike Quick, all-pro wide receiver for the Eagles. He's from my high school. We had Lewis Breeden, who played for the Bengals, a defensive back for 10 years. Then the current guys in the Donnell Ellaby, played with the Ravens for a little while in Philly, I think, when they won the Super Bowl. And then Melvin Ingram, he came another lineman from the Chargers, I think it was. So we've just had our pedigree of athletes, man. It's a great thing down there. We enjoy the game. It's not like typical, New York City, go out on a Friday night on a nice dinner or something in the city. But, Friday nights where I come from, you're eating hot dogs and hamburgers sitting at the game. So, that's
absolutely
important if it is. But our competitive drive, for me to answer your question, my man, is I always had that. I love the game. I love sports. I ran track. I played baseball. I played football. I did a little bit of everything with that, and just having that winning mentality, because the community where I live in, our culture, man, is about winning, man. And we had that winning mentality, and we won. I mean, I was the first class to win the state championship my senior year in high school. And, we built in '73, as I told you. Season of '78, and I graduated in '79, so we was the first thing. After that, we had probably 10 or 12 more state championships since then.
Wow.
So we just have a pedigree of great ball players that come out of there in the community, and the people that support us, our booster club members. So they do a great job with that. And I'm obviously, when I have time, and I go down there during the football season in high school and go to a game and cheer them on myself. So it's all about that environment, man, having that winner's edge.
So were you always the fastest kid on the field? Did track come after? I mean, when did you realize the speed can take you somewhere?
Well, that's a funny story, man. It's a true story I'm about to tell you guys in your audience, man. When I was 6 years old, I was in the first grade, okay? And my teacher used to have us to go outside, my first grade teacher, and have the kids on recess, they call it, and you go on the playground and you play around and you run and see who can climb the monkey bars the fastest, or who can run the fastest, or whatever. And so for whatever reason, I had super crazy speed in the first grade, 6 years old. I could outrun all the kids in the whole school. So that was K to 6. All the sixth graders, fifth graders, fourth graders, third graders, second graders could not outrun me. I was the fastest kid in the whole school, and I was in the first grade. So I knew it was something unique about me at that time. And I guess in a sense, I was a semi-pro. When I say this, a semi-pro, because my teacher used to bet other teachers in the school that she had a kid could outrun anybody in the school, and they would test us out, and me against another kid or whatever, and I would always win. So she would give me 10 cents, and she would take the others 15 cents. So she would bet another teacher 25 cents. So for me, 10 cents back in those days, you get a penny cookie, man. I get 10 cookies for a dime. So I was happy with that. But that's a true story, what I just told you guys. I knew then it was something special about me. I didn't know exactly what, but I had a speed like that. At first graders, 6-year-old outrunning all the 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. That's not too normal in many senses, in many ways, rather.
So I guess early on you were pretty much a track athlete. You just didn't know it yet. So when did football come into play? How did that come about?
Football for me, guys, came in when I was 10 years old. I was introduced to a guy. I won't introduce. I was in the same class. So let me say that. In fifth grade, I started in fifth grade, and I knew about track. Running. I love track, and I playing a little baseball. But I was introduced to by my classmate. His father was a little league football coach in the town where I lived in, and I tried out with the team, and I made the team, and the rest was history. I went from there, man, when I was 10 years old, and doing playing on little league championship teams, and I just built my way up in middle school through high school, and then as you guys know, the rest went from there. But I was a guy that his name was Chuck Bishop, and his father was my mentor for 50 years. His name was Charlie Bishop. Charlie Bishop was from North Carolina. He was an All-American football player himself at East Carolina University down in Greenville, North Carolina. And he ended up making the Hall of Fame in East Carolina University back in the 50s and the 60s era. And he was like a mentor to me. He trained me and introduced me to the game. And, I never looked back. We had a lot of great success together with Coach. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, and was my mentor for, like I said, over 50 years. With him, and what a great thing that happened to me last summer. I want to share with you guys. I was inducted to the North Carolina Hall of Fame for football and track down in North Carolina, and Coach Bishop was inducted also. So it was a great night for us, even though he was deceased now, but it was a great night for us. The both of us that went in the Hall of Fame together in North Carolina, in our county, Richmond County, North Carolina.
So it sounds like you were the cat's meow growing up. You're pretty much.
No, I was a quiet kid, man. I was kind of laid back, and I just quiet, unassuming. But when it's time to go play sports, I can go out there and turn the heat on, and that was pretty much me. Then off the field or whatever, if I was playing baseball, or running track, or football, or whatever, I was kind of a homebody, introverted. I was an introvert and didn't have much to say. Just stayed home. My mother and grandmother thought something was wrong with me because I didn't have a lot to say. I didn't talk a lot. So you imagine being a mute to now I talk all the time. Probably talk too much. So.
Yeah, George grew up too thinking a lot of people thought there was something wrong with him too. So
yeah, no, for sure. I love being introverted. It's one of my favorite things, actually.
Yeah, man. You guys, man. I appreciate guys like yourself, man. You've been around. You've seen that you lived your life, and you're doing great things like this, having your show here, man. It's about paying it forward, showing the true passion and the true love for what you do. And more importantly, I always said this, and I will continue to say this till the day I die. The Giant Nation is the greatest fan base that ever lived, in my opinion. These people cheer for me, even the ones who wasn't born at my time, they come along since then. It's all good, man. I appreciate you and salute to you guys, man. You know what I mean? So, people like yourself, giving it back, paying it forward, and I'm proud to say I'm be a part of this. Your podcast here, man. Playing for the Giants for many years, for the Mara family. Then my last 2 years with the Tisch family was a great honor for me. Willa Tamara, I can't say enough about it. He was a great man to me. I know a lot of times you say, well, guys, you hear the ownership don't really get involved with the players too much. In reality, that's true to a degree, but Mr. Mary always had great things to say about me, and I had the privilege and honor to work for him for all those years, and it was a great thrill for me. It really was, and I'm honored to say I was able to play for the New York Football Giants.
Was Wellington Mara, was he like a stern kind of guy? Like, you see the pictures and everything. He looked like a super serious, like I'd be scared shitless, honestly.
Well, I tell you what, man, Mr. Mara was a no nonsense guy, man. He's a businessman. You took that, and so I'll tell you another little story, man. I got a few stories for you guys tonight. But my grandmother, when I got drafted in 1983 from NC State, and I was getting ready for my first summer camp. At that time, Giants, as you guys are well aware of, used to train at Pace University at one time. Mm-hmm. Pace University in Westchester, New York. And I was up there and, getting ready for the training camp. And I remember my grandmother, when I was leaving to go to the first training camp in July of 1983, she said this to me, guys. She said, asked me who was the man who owned the team. And I told her, I think his name is Willa Tamara, and his family runs it at that time before the Tisch family. And I told him, who he was. She said, well, I tell you what, son, if you don't do nothing else, if you play 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, or 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years, or whatever the case is, you make sure you get that man an honest day's work.
Yeah.
Never forgot that, fellas. And I went to work in 1983, and I worked and I worked. And I don't have to say no more because you guys already know I put in 11 years. But the beauty of it all, the reason and the moral of the story is when 11 years went by, guys, when it was time for me to go home, pack my bags to leave because it was over, when I was able to shake that man's hand and say, I gave you my best. That was my most proudest moment.
And he knew that too.
Oh, yeah. I think several years ago, I had a couple of reporters who got in touch with me, and one of them told me that they had did an interview with him or something at that time with Mr. Merriman, obviously when he was living, and said that, asked about different players and said, well, tell us about Perry Williams. And from my understanding, he got real emotional about it when he started talking about me. So yeah. I get the goose, the willies when I think about it. Mr. Merriman was a man of integrity, a man of character, man of class. And I was able to, work for him, and it taught me a lot of things as well. Because I grew up without a father. I wish I had a father in that kind of category, with that mindset. Anyway, I'm not talking about the game itself or for his money, but just as a person, as a human being, and that really went a long ways with me. So I really appreciated the organization for having me be a part of the winning team, the winning edge, and we won. So we won a lot of games and won a lot, as you guys know, we won championships. So, but most importantly, it brought me about the way of living, my life transition, for what I went from that point to where I am today. So it was a good learning lesson point for me.
That's awesome. I personally did not have the privilege to watch you, play games live because I was born a little bit after.
No,
that,
I'm an OG.
we
I'm
get
what they
it,
call
Tom.
an
We get it.
OG
You're
now,
young.
man. I'm an OG, but that's okay.
But it was all on VHS, and I watched a lot of your games. And one thing I noticed, you were really fast. I mean, it looked like you possessed Olympic caliber speed. How serious was the Olympic dream for you?
Well, you guys might have did a little research on me already. I qualified for the Olympics in 1980, my sophomore year at NC State. I had broke the record. There was a guy not too far down the road in New Jersey there, down in Giant Stadium. Now it's called MetLife Stadium down there in Williamsburg, New Jersey, a guy named Carl Lewis. 9-time gold, 10-time gold medalist in the Olympics in the 80s and the 90s. And Carl and I was the top two sprinters in the country at that time for his times in the 200 meters. So I qualified for the Olympics in the 200 meters in 1980. One of the things that happened was I was talking about politics for a second, guys. Jimmy Carter, the former president, unfortunately passed away a year or two ago. He boycotted America. So 1980 Olympics, Summer Olympics killed all the guys, and girls. I was one of those guys who didn't get a chance to go. So I've always said, man, I was heartbroken, of course, had a great opportunity. They had a chance to go to the Olympics, but I didn't get a chance to go because of what the boycott with Jimmy Carter. But I tell people all the time, hey, Carl had a great career in the track and field. Carl Lewis got 9, 10 gold medals out. And I tell people, hey, I had to settle for 2 Super Bowl rings. So not a bad trade-off. Not too bad.
Yeah, you did all right.
Yeah,
I'd give up everything in this house for one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was very fortunate, to have that opportunity at NC State when I was there, and had a great track coach there. The guy's name was Tom Jones, not the singer Tom Jones, but another guy named Tom Jones. And he was a great track coach, and he helped me in many ways. So it helped me, as you guys were talking about, when I was on the field, man, I could hit that second gear. When a lot of guys didn't have that second gear, I could run guys down. I'm proud to say this too. I've never been one to be braggadocious and talk about myself like that, but I'm proud to say, if I'm not mistaken, our defense back in the day, I don't think we ever gave up a 60, 70-yard, 80-yard touchdown run.
You guys didn't give up shit.
What we did, I shut them down when I was on the field. As you guys know, all the guys who played there, if they get past you guys and try to go down and try to score, they're not gonna score. When I was on the field, I made sure that happened. I think it happened to me, which was a good game we played and we beat them with Detroit Lions. Barry Sanders broke loose on us one time. Now, if you guys got time at some point in time, you go look up Barry Sanders' greatest runs in the NFL and look at frame number 36. And when you look at that, and it was a break, Barry broke loose on us going down the field. I ran him down at the 5-yard line. So, go back and check that out. Barry Sanders' 50 greatest runs, and look at frame number 36.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out.
I'm writing this down right now as we speak.
So, kind of a 2-part question for you. What did the track and field and the sprinting, obviously more than the speed, what did that help you with the cornerback position? And second part of that,
speed. Well, for a defensive back, a cornerback position, makeup speed. I was on a few guys that I knew who had that. He had a track background, and you guys know who I'm talking about when I call his name. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He was in my era too. He got in the league in '83. A guy named Darrell Green, Washington Redskins, Washington Federals, or Commanders, whatever they are now. But Darrell Green was he was a 4.2, 4.28 back then in 1983. I mean, he could get it. There were a few guys who had that, and Darrell had it. And just that makeup speed. If a guy beat me off the line of scrimmage, I had that kind of ability to hit that what we call hit that second gear and close the gap.
And you were a big corner also. You weren't a small guy.
That's what it was taken back. A lot of guys was taken back by me because I was 6'2", 205 pounds, and I was running 4.3s, 4.28s, 4.3s at that, and back 40-something years ago. So you can imagine. But that was due to the fact of my track training. My track training, I trained in football. Well, what I did in football season to get ready for the season, I would do my track workouts. And my track workouts got me ready for football season.
Did you ever play receiver at all?
No, I was a running back in high school, running back in DBS in cornerback. And so I was a running back, toss left, toss right, and I just run around the corner and hit the gear and try to get, try to score or whatever like that. But yeah, I was that was my thing. My great one of my greatest assets is I had that makeup speed. Guy could get away from me, and I could pretty much run him down and make a play like that. And then playing for Bill Belichick, he was my defensive coordinator my first 8 years. And Paul Parcells, big tuna fish, he was my head coach my first 8 years. And what happened with Bill Belichick and I, he utilized every player's ability, found their strongest points and utilized it. If you guys watch it, you go back and watch some of this old tape, you'll see me coming off the edge on the short side of the field on cornerback blitz. You utilize my speed and to make some plays because everybody thought LT was going to rush from the short side. So he mixed it up and stuff like that. Bill Belichick was a genius. I can tell you guys that right now. People ask me the question, I was that Bill Belichick was a genius. If it's such word as genius in football, he's one of them, no doubt. He's Scarver's a personal friend of mine now. He's I saw him last summer. He invited me to speak to his football team at University of North Carolina because I told you guys I live in North Carolina. I live about 75 miles from Chapel Hill. I live by now my town area where I live is called Pinehurst, North Carolina. So it's a golf resort. So I was able to go up there with him and spend a day with him, and that was great. Yeah, it was great last summer.
That's amazing.
What are your thoughts about him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Oh, that's crazy, man. They ought to close that place down. I mean, come on.
No kidding.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm biased, of course. I want to see this guy be in there. No doubt about it. I don't know about why this or why that, because of this kind of situation that happened with this or that, whatever. The bottom line is this guy can coach, and this guy proved it. He got 2 Super Bowl rings with us, and he got 6 in New England. And he went 2 more and lost those. So he went to the Super Bowl 10 times, and won 8 of them. So I don't, my thoughts being biased, of course, that's ridiculous to me. But hey, well, for whatever reason, he's going to definitely be in there. This year, next year, whatever years, he's going to be in there. And I'm happy for him. He was a great coach, and it was a privilege to work with him. And I learned more. I said this in a couple other interviews. I learned more with Bill Belichick in 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes that I did in 11 years of pro football and 4 years of college. 15 years in 30 minutes, I learned that. But that's how smart this guy was.
Love it. So Perry, take me back to college when you played against LT when he was at Carolina. What was that experience actually like from your side of the field?
A freak of nature.
Yeah,
I knew this guy was special. I watched him. We played Chapel Hill, NC State, Chapel Hill. I will tell him I always, razzed him about it. Hell, in my 4 years in NC State, my 4 years we was 2-2. So they, never got the best of us, like that. So. And we won the ACC championship my freshman year in NC State football. So, well, what a freak of nature this guy was. I knew he was special. You guys, with people up north, I should say that because you guys weren't around back then. But a guy named Hugh Green from Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, who was a linebacker from Hugh Green, who's like one of the top linebackers in the country. But he and LT at the time, and LT hands down, as you know, when he got to New York. And it didn't take very long to find out who was the best. So, but LT was a freak of nature in college. He was making plays I've never seen. I'll share another story with you guys in your audience. We was watching East Carolina play because NC State was getting ready to play East Carolina the week. And so we were watching East Carolina offense going against the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill defense and LT and his crew. And I saw the wildest thing I ever saw in football, and I never saw it even in the pros. LT took on the tight end. He threw the tight end down. The big offensive lineman tried to chip him and tried to slow him down. The fullback tried to cut him and hit him around the knee. LT dove over like he was a hurdler and grabbed the quarterback from the backside of his neck and broke his neck.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
In the game.
Oh, my goodness.
True. You guys go dig your history up and research that. You can see that from East Carolina. I forgot what year that was. That must have been 80, 79 or 80, one of those years. And he broke the guy's neck trying to run from it, the quarterback.
Jesus.
And the quarterback
LT, obviously, when he was younger, even probably still now to some extent, he is the scariest football player. I mean, even just him standing, you never know where the hell the guy is. He's staring at you. He's shit-talking on top of it. He's hitting you. And then after he hits you, he's telling you got to do better than that. Like,
Yeah, you got to bring something better than that.
I mean, like, I couldn't imagine being like Ron Jaworski under center, just looking at LT, and then not only LT.
I got another story for you, my man. Not to cut you off. When you're talking about Ron Jaworski, I'll give you another guy. I'm gonna give you guys stories. This is a storytelling night for you.
Oh yeah.
We playing the Eagles, and this is a true story. We playing the Eagles in Philadelphia. And then, the fan base, as you guys have heard of or witnessed yourself, they're a pretty wild group down there. But in any event, we down there, we battling the hell out of them. We kicking the crap out of them. They kicking the crap out of us. So we going at it. And so LT chin strap had a defect on the helmet. So the referee said, you got to go out, LT, you got to go out for one play. The LT ran off the field, and we had a reserve guy named Andy Hedden come in his place, okay? And so Ron Jaworski broke the huddle. And when he went to the line of scrimmage, he started calling his cadence out, and this and that. And he was looking around, and he was saying, check, 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 where's, and then he started screaming out. Ron Jaworski started screaming out, where's 56? Where's 56? And everybody started laughing, even on the field. Parcells didn't know what the heck was going on with guys. We were laughing. And so he called timeout because he couldn't find LT on the field. Well, he wasn't going to find LT because he was on the sideline for that one play. And so LT ran back on the field and said, Ron, I'm back in. Don't worry about it. I'm back in the game now. True story.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, he said he was so scared he called timeout. He couldn't find 56.
Listen, those quarterbacks were petrified of your whole defense. It's not just even Lawrence Taylor. Like, when you're quarterback,
no disrespect, Happy Feet. I call him Happy Feet. Dan Marino, Hall of Famer, great player. I'm taking nothing from him, but he was scared to death when Lawrence Taylor was out there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I saw Joe Montana. I saw Jim Kelly. I saw them all, and they were looking kind of blindsided, kind of looking to see if you talking about the movie Blindside. That was the true movie right there with LT. Coming down, rushing like that, because, I'll be kind of a little afraid myself. See LT coming from that backside like that. But, he was a monster, man. He was the guy who was a freak of nature, just natural, just God-given ability. You guys like that, you guys, even in the rest of my life, I guess I'll never see another one like him in my lifetime. That comes along every 40 or 50 years. And
absolutely. So you must have been
good.
You must have been quite relieved knowing you were joining Lawrence Taylor and you got to be a part of what he was going to do.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you another good story. Okay. So 1983, I got up here, as you guys know. I didn't get a chance to play. I was on the bench first year on scout squad, which is fine. I learned my system. I learned the team. I learned everything. So my first year as a starter was 84. A matter of fact, against Philadelphia Eagles. So at a home game, first home game of the season. And so I remember, we ran out on the field. We had kickoff, and the defense ran on the field after the kickoff. They received, and it was a 30-second TV timeout. So I'm in the huddle with all the guys, Harry Carson and even Carl Banks at that time. He was a rookie, and the rest of the guys, and LT, Leonard Marshall. You go on and on. All these great guys, Jim Burke. We in the lineup. Terry Kennard, my free safety, my boy, my buddy. And so LT turned around in the huddle and looked at me. He never called me Perry. All my years of PW or Mr. P, my nickname was Mr. P or P-Rock. He never called me that. He always called me homeboy. He said, homeboy. And this is my first year as a starter. I'm in the lineup. I'm in the 30-second TV timeout. He said, homeboy, hey, listen, you ready to go? I said, yeah, I'm ready to go. He said, you sure you ready to go? I said, hey, now listen now, this is not no ACC football. This ain't Chapel Hill and NC State now. I said, don't worry about it. I got you. He said, you know what the NFL stands for? I said, yeah, I know what it stands for. He said, no, you don't. You don't know what it stands for. It stands for not for long. So get your ass ready to go. Let's go. And boom, we broke the huddle. And, I went out there and I had a good game. My first game out in 1984. And, that was my moment with LT. Well, you're talking about 10 years later. Okay, 93, 94, when it was all over said and done. He walked away the same year I walked away and Phil Simms walked away. And I remember going up to him and saying, I call him big man. I said, big man. I say, I'm still here. 10 years later, I'm still here. And so he knew what that meant. He said, hey, I won't go nowhere. I'm right here. I never left his side. I was right there with him. So, hey, my 7th round pick, Lawrence Taylor franchise, 1st round pick, Phil Simms, 1st round pick. I was one of the last guys, or original guys that retired for the New York Giants. Phil Simms, 15 years, LT, 13, and I was 11 years. but I was a seventh round pick. Those other two guys, first round pick. So you tell me. It's either I tell guys all the time in my program here at the university, because I run the sports management academic program at LIU here, Long Island University. And one of my classes that I teach is the psychology of sports class. And I tell them all the time, hey, listen, it's all in the mind. It's called the WTA effect, guys. I'll tell you guys that in your audience. What is the WTA effect, Williams? WTA effect is a want-to attitude. It's how bad you want it. How far are you willing to go to be a champion? You go be a mutt or you go be a greyhound. You know what I mean? So you put your heart and soul in it. If you don't want to play, pack your bags and go home. This is about winning. And that's the attitude we had. I talk like that now, but I never really talked like that, because I had enough guys out there talking as it was, back in the day. But, it was just the attitude, man. It was the attitude thing. You want to attitude, you will. I call it the MSG effect. You're talking about mental toughness. You're talking about having heart, and you're talking about having guts. If you got that, you don't have it, then you can't go. Especially with Lawrence Taylor, you ain't gonna let you on the field with him. If you ain't got to go heart and guts and mental toughness, can't play. Don't want you. And that's the attitude that we had as a team, not only as a defense, as a team. You can't play. We don't want you. Nothing personal. This is business, and we about winning. If you don't want to win, then you better go somebody else's team, because it's about winning with us. That's the way it was with us. And that's the way, if you read about it, if you never saw it, but you read about it, you look on tape and you see that, I can tell you now, it was about winning. Nothing, any other thing was unacceptable. The bottom line is results, and anything else is rhetoric. And that's the way it was. And that's the way I looked at it. I didn't have no problem with it, because I had that. I wanted to win. In the worst way. Some people say, well, you're not going to win them all. Well, guess what? I'm going to try my damnedest to win more than I lost.
Hell yeah.
That's the attitude right there. That's the attitude. You got a lot of these guys, no disrespect to none of these young bucks out there now. The young guys running around and playing the game, whether the Giants team now, whatever, any team. You got to play with heart and guts. If you ain't got that, then you don't need to be out there on the football field, especially representing the Giants. Them other teams can do what they want to do. But, I expect, when I see a Giant player run on that field, I expect to see the guy get a lot of work done and make things happen, cause havoc.
Absolutely. Disruption.
And give the people a true day's work. You get paid. You pay. You get paid a lot of money, so you earn your keep. Earn your money. I mean, that's the other thing that I have a problem with. You earn your keep. And so my thing was, a lot of people, it ain't no easy way out. It's either you do it or you don't, fellas. And my thing is, my philosophy is my way or the highway. You don't want to play, go home. This ain't for everybody. I tell people all the time, football is not for everybody. Basketball, baseball, you got a lot of people that play soccer or that. But football, you got to be a man, a real man. Now, this is a man's game. This ain't for little boys. We ain't changing diapers out here. You got to get after it. If you want to change diapers, you better call your mama and tell her to come get you. This is about playing the game and making it happen, man. Making it win it. That's the bottom line, win it. And so that's the attitude I have, man. I was never vocal too much back in my day. I had enough guys doing interviews and all that. But I'm speaking from an old school guy, OG now. I can tell you that was my mentality. I played to win. And anything else was unacceptable to me. I hated winning. I hated losing. I would be so embarrassed, guys. So after we lost the game, I wouldn't even go out to eat. I'll order food in. I didn't want the people to see me. I didn't want nobody to see me. You went out there, you guys, we ain't gonna win them all, but but the thing is, hell, I want to win more than I lose. That's the attitude that I had. I was embarrassed if we lost. And all of us was embarrassed. But we came roaring back. So my philosophy is I might not win them all, but I'm gonna win more than I lose. And that's what we did. So
Perry, in 1984, you had a very impressive season. You started the whole year, you had 3 interceptions. So you said the year before you were on the scout team. What was that transition like, and what moment did you actually feel like you, lack of a better term, belong in the NFL?
That moment was my second year. My first year, I didn't get a chance to play, as you stated, and I didn't have a chance to go out there and do my thing, but that's fine. I learned what I needed to learn, the system, and Belichick turned me loose and said, go out there and play. Don't worry about nothing. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just play the game. Play full speed. And so that's just the way it was. I went out there and just played. I felt like I could play. I belonged with the guys, and I was willing to pay the price for them. You know, it's the old adage, the old saying that I use. You know, am I my brother's keeper? And see, that's what made the Giants team so unique back in those days. Because we was each other's keeper. You know, somebody was banged up. Somebody had, hey, we're gonna pick up. The offense ain't doing what we need to get done right now. Don't worry about defense. We're gonna stop them, and then we get the ball back to you, or vice versa. Somebody might be driving the ball down on the field, or getting yardage on it. And then finally, the offense said, "Don't worry about it. We're gonna get the ball back and hold the ball. We're gonna make more plays." So we were all of us was about being accountable to each other, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
In the sport. It's being accountable to each other. I'm accountable to each and every one of those guys. Hey, I know I couldn't rush the quarterback like LT or Leonard, George Morton or Curtis McGriff, my boy Big Curtis out of Alabama, University of Alabama. I couldn't rush two gap like he could. So I depended on these guys. So what I used to term in my class, at the psychology class here at LIU at Long Island here, is the term is, it's either you believe it or you don't believe it. You got to believe it to achieve it. If you don't believe it, you're not going to achieve it. Only the big dogs will hunt. The puppies stay on the porch. Mm-hmm. You don't want to hunt, stay on the porch. Don't go out there with the big boys. That's the attitude that I had. And I still, to this day, I feel that way. I was committed. I committed myself my whole life to these guys that I played with. I was committed. I was going to give it everything I had. If I messed up out there and played it, and the guy called a pass or called a touchdown or whatever, and that wasn't many touchdowns that I gave out over those years, I'm proud to say that through you guys' show here. I think from what I was told through a source, reliable source, in the 10 years that I did play on the field, I gave up 5 touchdowns in 10 years. Go check it out, fellas, and see if that's true. And that's more every other year.
So you started playing with the big boys. Now let me ask you, what was your first welcome to the NFL moment? When did you realize that this was different?
Well, the speed of the players, the speed of the guys. You got speed in college. You got some of these guys, but all them big offensive linemen and defensive linemen, man, they running around like they was track guys. Some of them, like agile on their feet, like agile, mobile. I mean, these guys could really move, and that was like, okay, now I'm and this is the NFL here. So I took my skills and just tried to blend in and say, hey, this is it, man. I'm in it now. I'm in it to win it. So, I feel like that was my moment. I said, okay, this is where the big boys play right here. If you ain't got no heart, you better not go out there, because that ain't for you. I know they diluted the NFL now, in my opinion. These guys don't hit like they used to. Well, which is fine. I understand about the safety and all of this, the concussions and all of this stuff, and that's. But the game is football. This game was meant to be barbaric. That's the way they created it, to be barbaric. To go out there and then change, so we can dethrone somebody, decapitate somebody's head. That's the way it was played, and that's the way I was raised to play the game. Ferocious. And if you don't have that kind of mentality, then you can't play. Lawrence Taylor, now if he was playing now, he'd be kicked out to every game. All of them. Excuse me. All of us would probably be kicked out the game, because we come at you full speed. And everybody got to the ball. Everybody run to the ball, and then that's the way. But hey, I understand about the guys now. The safety of the game. I'm very mindful of that. But at the same token, it's still football. You hit or you be hit. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
How hard do you think it would be to be a corner in modern day football with all the rules? And they basically protect the wide receivers and the offense. They want high scoring games, and obviously it wasn't like it back then.
No, well, back then, hey man, you just rope them. You could get down the field and cover them and grab them all over the place. And then they changed that. I think in '83 or '84, going in my third year, where Lester Hayes to play for the Oakland Raiders back in the day, now it's Vegas Raiders or whatever. The guys would molest you all over the field, man. And they changed that because they wanted, like you just said, my man, they wanted to get the wide receivers open so they could score touchdowns and, do all their little gyro dances and have the cheerleaders jumping up and down. So, but yeah, it changed the dynamic of the game. I understand the dynamic of the game. But this, give it a gauge, as I said again early on with my grandmother's story, give that man or give the fans an honest day's work. Don't go out there and just lay down like a dog and just let the people just run all over you and just embarrass you. That's embarrassing. I'm sorry to say that, but that is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Don't be like a dog, be a mutt. Go out there and be a greyhound and go out there and go get it. Rockwaller. Be something besides being a mutt,
Yeah. Also, we have a comment. I don't know if you know the name Ronnie Rivers. She's been commenting in the stream. Perry, are you familiar with her
Ronnie
at all?
Rivers. I hadn't heard. I heard that name sound familiar.
Yeah.
I hope it ain't too bad.
No. She's just saying.
Well,
I didn't do anything wrong.
No.
All good.
Against the lady.
Remembers you. She remembers you from the late 80s, apparently. So we're just checking through.
Tom. Well, I can say thank you. Tell her thank you for giving me a shout out. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a giant nation.
But yeah, you were selected in the 7th round, right?
Yeah.
Did you take that personally? Is that where you expected to go? And how did you use that as fire and ambition?
Well, that's another story, man. I got so many stories, man. You guys got some great questions. And I got another story. Mel Kiper. You've heard of him? ESPN. Got selection for the NFL to make these predictions. He predicted in 1983 that I was going to be a late first rounder coming out of NC State. I was back then great track star and football player. I could play football and I could do that and being a corner and everything and my size and height and all of that. He said late first rounder, can't miss second rounder. Well, I got a call. I was home in North Carolina at my mom's in my home at that time in 83. She cooked dinner for me. I get a phone call in 83, Seattle Seahawks. We said, Perry, we're going to get you in the second round. And would you like to come out here? Yeah, sir. I'll go play at the Moon if I had to. No matter me, sir. So I was happy to get a chance to get there. Then I got a call 30 minutes later, Tampa Bay. Hey, we want you to come to Tampa Bay. We're going to get you in the 3rd round and get you down. I said, well, that's like 8-9 hours from North Carolina. So that'll be a great thing for me. But in any event, that went all through the process. And I'm waiting and never came. The next thing I know, it was 7th round, and then I get a phone call said, congratulations, you was a 7th round pick, and we're gonna bring you up here. You're gonna be part of the team. Blah blah blah. Well, I come to find out what happened, fellas. A lot of people don't know this story, and especially Giants Nation. It was 2 Perry Williams in 1983 that came out. One of them was a white kid from Clemson University, Perry Williams, and obviously me being black from the NC State. Well, the word got out that Seattle drafted him. They thought they were drafting the black Perry Williams, but they drafted the white Perry Williams. And so he was second round. And so that really what happened went down. George Young, the general manager of the New York Football Giants back in the 80s and 70s, 80s, 90s, up until he retired in early 2000, I think it was, Mr. Young, he told me the story. He said when he went, the first player in 1983 was going to be Terry Kennard, our first free safety All-American from Clemson. My great friend, my teammate for 7 years. But TK was first. Then I was supposed to have been second on the draft list with the Giants. George Young told me this story, Mr. Young. And he said that you were supposed to be second. He said when I looked on that, I asked the guys back then, I guess they had all this technology. Now you guys got all the data analytics stuff now. You didn't have all that technology 40-something years ago. And they said, well, I went and told him, he told the draft room, the board room, hey, listen, I'm really looking for Perry Williams. Well, Perry Williams gone. Perry Williams gone? He said, yes, he's gone already. And so that's why Leonard Marshall got the second round pick. I was supposed to have been the second round pick. And so when that went on, so he went on 3rd round, 4th round, and got all these other, started getting all these other guys, Carl Nelson, some of the other guys they got at that time. And when it got to the 7th round, he told me that something told him to go back to the draft board room and check again. He said, is Perry Williams gone from the board? He said, yes. That's how I'm talking about Perry Williams from NC State. And they looked on the board and said, yeah, he's still on the board. And that's how I got to know the New York Football Giants. The Perry Williams that they thought they had Seattle
oh my
was
God.
The guy from Clemson.
So do you think the whole league missed misplaced you guys? Do you think the whole league misplaced you guys?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Gosh.
Yeah, well, you got all this technology like you guys got nowadays, man. You have a chalkboard and runners and all this kind of stuff. You know, it was a whole different world then, man.
Holy God.
But you know, that gave me a drive. I mean, to answer your question earlier, that motivated me. You know, now I'm a 7th round pick. What's the differentiation of 2nd round pick for finances, money? Just talk about money for a second. Back then, 1st round pick Terry Canoa got $500,000 signing bonus. Okay, a 2nd round pick back then, Leonard Morrison, I think he got $250,000. That was supposed to be my money, $250,000. Work your way down to the 7th round. I got $25,000. 25,000, not 225, 25,000. And so, with my salary and everything, I think my first year in '83, I made $105,000 being a 7th round pick. Not bad. That's not chump change. That's a lot of money in 1983. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. But wow.
Nevertheless, you know. But that was my Perry Williams story. You know, the white Perry Williams and the black Perry Williams.
You are by far a better man than me, because I would be so goddamn pissed off. You would never hear anyone that wanted to talk to me. I'm like, listen, y'all got the wrong Perry Williams. I'm the one you guys were supposed to get. Like, could we redo the draft or something? I mean,
I tell you what, man, George Young made it up to me. He laughed. He said, I stole you. He told me in his office one time. He said, I stole you, son. I got you on the cheap. But over the years, man, when after 3rd year and 4th working up, man, he put me in category in the top percentile for DBs for my position, and I appreciated that. But I worked my butt off, of course. I worked like hell and produced and did what I had to do. But that's my Perry Williams story in the draft, 1983.
So
that's wild.
Real quick, this is like a training camp / weekly preparation question. When you guys were doing your prep, how great were these linemen, offense, defense drills? Like I want to say Carl Banks had a really good, like everyone would stop and watch Banks and somebody on the line go at it, trying to push each other around, stuff like that. How great were those drills to be a part of, just to see all that talent in one spot?
Oh, man, now you see now you're seeing a bunch of men go, gladiators now. Now they going at even us in practice against each other. We used to turn it up. We had to stop practicing. Big Tuna, Paul Sales had to stop practice sometime. And we probably would call goal line scrimmage. You're on the 20-yard line going in, a red area scrimmage. Oh man, we get after it. We get after it for real. We hitting for real. And so Paul Sales had to blow the whistle. Hey man, Cole, we don't want to kill each other out here. We want to save it for the adversary, for the enemy. But but we made each other better by going at each other. I'll give you another story. I can't remember. You got to help me a little bit, guys. He was a tight end from Notre Dame.
Bavaro?
Bavaro.
No, not Bavaro. He was a tight end later on in the 90s. Dave, tight end, and he was the 1st round pick for the Giants. What was it? It was in the 90s, early 90s. Dave, Jesus, I can't even think his name now. But he was a 1st round pick, tight end.
Howard Cross?
Not Howard Cross. No. You keep going. You guys go down. You might find it. But he was a tight end from Notre Dame, and he's probably 6'5", about 260. And Paul Sales asked LT to give him a look. And so it's Dave Young. One of them. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of this guy. But in any event, he 1st round pick, and Paul Sales wanted to indoctrinate him. He wanted LT to introduce him to the NFL. So LT told Paul Sales, listen, Bill, I don't feel like doing that today. I don't want to go out there and do that. I don't want to hit nobody today. And Paul Sales kept whining and agitating, and LT talking about, give him a look and let him show me what he has or whatever. Dave Brown, that's his name. Dave Brown. Oh. Remember that? Go back and look it up. He was Notre Dame #1 draft pick with the Giants back in the, I think, early 90s. But anyway, Dave came out there and they had the arc block. They tried to block LT, tight end against the linebacker. And LT told him, I told you, Bill, I don't feel like practicing today. Paul Sales. And he said, well, give him one good look and see what he got. He said, okay. LT got on the line of scrimmage, buttoned his chin strap, and on the whistle, they hit it like a bunch of battering rams. LT hit him so hard that it broke his nose, and blood went everywhere. And Parcells stopped practicing. LT looked at Parcells, and this is a true story. He said, Bill, see what you made me do? I told you I didn't feel like practicing. You don't make me break this boy's nose. And
That's amazing.
Blood was all over the place. But yeah, true story with Dave Brown, the tight end. Where LT said, listen, I don't feel like, don't ask me to do anything else the rest of the day. So LT was that type of guy, man. LT, he practiced when he wanted to practice. He had certain things he would do in practice, but most of the time he would just sit back and relax, watch everybody else. And that was the way he was. The game was, once we played the game, man, it was on. You have to worry about if he was ready to play, because he would be ready to play. I'm going to give you one other thing, and I think you guys will be really enlightened now. My first year, again, 83, 84, my first year as a starter. I'm in the locker room. We got a 1:00 game against the Eagles. That game, what we talked about early on, the Eagles in my home game, and my first home game in the starting lineup in 84. I'm in there. We got a 1:00 kickoff. I get to the stadium at 11:30, 90 minutes before the game. We always had that rule to come in. Well, 11:30, 12 o'clock came. LT wasn't there. 12:15, no LT. 12:30, no LT. Now I'm getting nervous for myself because I thought maybe he was in the car or something happened to him or whatever. 12:45, no LT. So 10 minutes to 1, LT broke through the double doors in the locker room and was calling on Ronnie and Eddie. Ronnie Barnes is still the head trainer of the Giants, and Eddie Wagner was the trainer. And it was like NASCAR. You ever been in a NASCAR race? You go to pit stop and how the guys run up there and change the tires and do the gasoline or whatever. Well, LT was like that. They would put the shoulder pads on. They was putting his pants on. They was taping his ankles. He's sitting down doing all of this, putting his pants on, getting his jersey on, putting everything on. And then after that, LT, after he got dressed, within 3-4 minutes, it seems like, LT started screaming and hollering in the locker room, cursing out Parcells. He was cursing out everybody. I was looking at him like this guy. He started roaring like a lion, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing and I was seeing. And so after that, he was cursing out Parcells because he wanted Parcells to tell him that he was going to introduce the starting defense to the audience. So I guess to the fan base, he wanted to be introduced to the first home game, the defense. So anyway, we did that. And LT, I got my first roar. They gave me a nice ovation. I ran on the field. When LT came out there, seemed like the whole stadium was shaking, like the earth was vibrating. I couldn't believe it, the roar that he had for him. He played out there. We won the game, everything. We got in. LT went back in the locker room. Ron and Eddie, they ran back in and they took all his clothes off for him, shoulder pads, cut off his tape for his ankles and all this kind of stuff. And LT put a towel on, wrapped a towel around him, went in the shower, took a shower, came back, put on them nasty clothes he had on when he first got there, and walked out the locker room. And I saw him do that for 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
I thought you were going to go with the story where LT's on the Jersey Turnpike and he sees the lights on at the Meadowlands. And he's like,
oh yeah, he forgot it was a game. Yeah, that's true. That's the true story. I didn't realize I had a game to play today. I said, okay. He missed part of the game. He got in maybe the first quarter, half of the quarter, or second quarter when he got there. Something crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. This guy was a tremendous player. He was a little whacked out at times. He do some crazy stuff, but he was a little touched. But we all got some touched people in our family, so we looked at each other as family members. You always got a crazy uncle.
We also got George right there.
George is crazy himself. Yeah.
I wish
a good crazy.
Absolutely. Speaking of crazy, Perry, you had a great 1986 season, 4 interceptions that year. You made it to the Super Bowl. You faced John Elway. I guess the question is, what do you remember most about facing him and the adjustments you guys made at halftime? Because the game was much closer, going into the locker room.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons that we was closer like that, that's a good question. Thank you for the question, is the weather. When we were practicing in New York. Now, we didn't have no bubbles back in the day. We didn't have no indoor arena to practice in. We had to go outside and practice and get ready for the Super Bowl in the Meadowlands, on the stadium, on the field, in the turf field. And it was 20, 30, 40 degrees or whatever it was. And we practiced. Then we go out to California and that atmosphere out there, it's warm. So what it was for us in reality, and to be honest with you, it was the element. It was the temperature. It was a little warmer out there. I think it was like 75, 80 degrees. We used to be in 20 degrees. So it's a differentiation there. And so that's kind of got us a little bit. You know, we was huffing and puffing a little bit. And by the second half, if you go back and look at it, when the sun went down, when it got cool out there in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl, that's when we started really playing. Because you got to adjust to the atmosphere. That's what really happened to us, to tell you the honest truth. We was, kind of gasping for air a little bit. So, but we came back and it made a big difference. John Elway, great player. Can't take nothing away from John Elway, but we started putting that pressure on him, man. He was running for his life, and we was able to make plays. And then, just the guys all together. It was a great opportunity for us. We got a now or never, and win this championship, and we was able to do it. And it was a great moment for all of us.
When that first game,
I'm sorry,
George.
No, go ahead.
When that first game is over, what do you remember the most? I mean, how did it feel to be?
Well,
now a Super Bowl
it was a
champion?
dream come true, man. It was a dream come true, my man, because I worked all my life. I dreamt about it. At 10, 11 years, 12 years old, going to the Super Bowl, watching it on TV back in the day as a kid. Oh, man, I would love to be there. One day, maybe I get there. And that was my dream, my goal. My dream became a reality. Yeah, a dream became a reality. I got a story that I tell. I do a lot of corporate training, guys. I do a lot of speaking for corporations and organizations and colleges or whatever, higher education, and K-12 school systems. And I got a story. I call it, I'm going to share with your audience here. It's called the toilet bowl story. And so when I was 11 years old. Okay, I'm going to get the exact number. 11 years old, I used to tell my grandmother that one day I was going to be somebody. And I was going to win myself a scholarship. And I was going to go to school and get a scholarship. I didn't know what college I was going to go to. And go to college. And then from college, I'm going to go and play in the NFL. And I was going to be in the NFL, be on TV. And I was going to even play in a Super Bowl. And so my grandmother had that look on their face like Super Bowl, playing the NFL, playing in the Super Bowl. My grandmother said to my mother, she thought I didn't hear her. She said, yeah, you hear this boy talking about he's going to play and get a championship and go and play in Super Bowls and talking about going to college and getting a college degree. And from that, and that's which is fine and dandy and great. He said, but playing in the Super Bowl, the only kind of Super Bowl that boy probably ended up playing is a toilet bowl. And they laughed. That was, they laughed at me. And I remember saying, well, I can show you better than I can tell you. Well, 14 years later, fellas, I was in my first Super Bowl. And so Pasadena, we just talked about, I called my grandmother. She was not able. She was sick and ill at the time in North Carolina to fly to California, to L.A., and come to the game. So I called her that Saturday night before the game, and we talked in conversation. And I remember talking to her at the end. She said, well, good luck. Beat John Elway good and beat the Broncos good tomorrow. I said, I sure will, Mama. She said, well, good luck to you. I said, hey, Mama. She said, yeah, what is it? I said, what you think about that toilet bowl kid now? And so my moral of that story, I've told that hundreds and hundreds of times on a lot of speeches I've done over the years. The moral of the story is I believed. I believe, regardless of what my mother or my grandmother said, or any family member, or anybody outsider said, I believed in myself. That's the one point that I want young men and young women to get and understand. Anything is possible. Believe that you can achieve. If you can believe, that you may have a chance to achieve, but you got to believe. And I believed, and I was able to achieve it. Not only once, I was so happy to get that one Super Bowl. I was like, hey, I'll never go again. That'd be great. I'd love to get another one. And God behold, it happened, 4 years later, we went back and got another one. So
actually, speaking of that Super Bowl, going back to the 90-91 year, the Bills offense was explosive. What was that defensive mindset going in? I know there was some adjustments, obviously. Kind of elaborate on what you were going to allow them to do and what you were going to take away from them.
Well, first of all, we're going to try to take away the passing game. So we instead of having the extra linebacker on the field, we had six DBs. Track guys. I call them track guys, the runners. We had our greyhounds on the field, so we were just covering it. Just going match toe to toe against them. And as you guys know, they have the no huddle offense. that Top Gun offense they had. But it wasn't wearing us down because we had our DBs in there. We was doing our extra DBs. Instead of having a nickel, we had 6 DBs called the dime. So 6 defensive backs on the field. And so Belichick came to that conclusion, said, we're going to rush them and have the other guy what we call the spy, just to stand there and watch Jim. So that's what it was, the mindset. We go out will them. They was going up and down the field on some. It wasn't no secret about that, but we was able to shut them down. We started hitting, and we just really made a lot of contact with the receivers. They had James Lawson and the other guys that they had at that time too. They had some great players over there. But I think we outwheeled them at the end for the most part.
So speaking of the very end, where were you during the wide right kick?
Oh, I was on that at that time. I was on the sideline. Came on the sideline, and they did the wide right kick, Scott Norwood kick, I call it. And I was so happy. I thought it was gonna go, and the ball looked like it was gonna go in, and it didn't. It stayed out to the right, and I was so happy that happened. I couldn't believe. I've told people over the years, I've had a couple of events I had to do a while back, and I said, well, I owe Scott Wood a thank you note, thank you for missing note. So that was a great poignant moment for us to be able to say that, that I, 2-time champion in the world, of pro football. And I'm honored and had the great the opportunity and the privilege to be able to play football. That was great for me, and play for the New York Times. Playing for the biggest city in the country, New York. Out of all places, I came to New York. I thought I was going to Tampa. I thought I'd maybe go to Seattle or wherever, but come to the Big Apple. Can't get bigger than this. This is it. This is where it's at.
Yeah, and you earned it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Earned it, Perry.
If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did one Super Bowl feel different from the other, though, between the two?
Nah, the first one, of course, felt so gratifying, man. I finally got a chance to live that dream, that toilet bowl dream. I got a chance to live it. And the sucker was kind of know what to be expected or whatever for that particular week or a couple weeks. I think it was a week that particular year. And just getting ready, get your mind right, kind of knew what to do, kind of get my mind set, get your family, got everybody pulling and tugging at you. But tickets, so you don't want to see you and this and that. I'm here to work. We here to work. It's not vacation. For your families, they can vacation in Los Angeles out there at that time or down in Tampa. But we had to work. We had to get our heads right to get ready to go. Get that, headspace, as these young guys call it, and girls call it nowadays. Get your headspace right. So, yeah.
Perry, what receiver gave you the toughest matchup in your career?
Probably Art Monk. Art Monk and James Lawson. James Lawson first. James Lawson was a former track and field guy himself at Arizona State, back in his day. James Lawson was a heck of a player. He was about 6'3", about 215 pounds. But I got him, and he can run. He was a good runner. I think he was a hurler or something like that in track and field. So he has some speed too. So, but he was tough. He was tough to go against Art Monk. Then, of course, I'm biased. I used my other boy from my hometown and went to NC State with me, Mike Quick, all-pro wide receiver for the Eagles. He was, great player. So we had a lot of great players. People ask me all the time, who was the greatest player that you ever played against, wide receiver? And then, you said toughest receiver. I was called the most complete receiver, around was James Lawson. Jerry Rice was great. Michael Irvin, all those guys. I'm going back to some of these old school guys and stuff like that as well. But most complete player was James Lawson. He'll go across the middle. He'd crack down on linebackers. I mean, he would stick it up in there. A lot of these guys want to catch the ball and catch and run and keep going. They don't want to block nobody. So, so that was the difference for me. James Lawson, Art Monk, Mike Quick, Jerry Rice is in there. And the other guy, there was a lot of guys, to be honest with you guys, back in the day. John Jefferson, Kevin Winslow Sr. We had so many guys out there playing at that time. The NFL was loaded with a lot of guys, a lot of great players. And especially wide receiver, Washington Redskins, and what's the other one guy, Gary Clark. I thought he was a great player. Just going back in time, with these guys. So, just great players, great athletes, and, understood the game of football was all about.
Tough assignments.
Oh yeah. Every day it ain't like high school or like college. You get an All-American, 1 or 2 All-Americans a year you play against in college. The pros are All-Americans every day. because all them guys are great players to make it to the league.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say your greatest accomplishment was aside from the Super Bowls? What's the thing that maybe the fans wouldn't know what you're most proud of, like your determination?
That's easy, man. I appreciate you asking that question, my man, because my accomplishment I had to get a college degrees. You hear me? I just said degrees. I got an undergraduate degree in criminal justice with a minor in psychology, and my master's degree is in public administration, concentration in business. I got my master's degree while I was still playing pro football. I went back to school during the off season in the late 80s and early 90s. We won the second Super Bowl in January of 1991. And in June of 1991, I received my master's degree. So I played 3 more years after I got my master's degree. And when I retired from pro football, I got a call from Fairleigh Dickinson University, where I had gone and got my master's degree from, not too far from Giant Stadium, or now MetLife Stadium, about 10, 15 minutes away. And got my master's degree from there. They offered me a job about 4 months after I retired from the Giants. And I worked for FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University. I was there for 23 years. 23 years at FDU. Now I'm here at Long Island University. I've been here in May will be 7 years. So 30 years of my life has been involved with education, higher education, and outreach.
Great school, by the way. Got the privilege to go there. Unfortunately, didn't get to cross paths with you, Perry, but so we
It's never too late. It's never too late.
It is never too late. Absolutely. Want to be mindful of your time and just have a couple more, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So what got you into work or being a professor specifically, and what would you say is more difficult, leading a classroom full of students or an NFL locker room?
Oh no, the NFL locker room, they the craziest.
Yeah.
Okay. Students in class, man, they're cool kids, man. They hungry. You know, they got that desire. We got a lot of student athletes in my program, of course. And they're hungry, they're thirsty. They want to hear some of my saying, the words of wisdom, if you will. They're willing to listen. They want to take in, get all the information they can take in. And I enjoy that. I call that transformationally changing the life. My life, it's been predicated in what made me go into education. I wasn't going into education. I was going to go and get involved in being a real estate mogul. I call it tycoon. I was going to go back and buy land in North Carolina and get involved with real estate and do some various other things that I was going to be involved in. But for whatever reason, the man from upstairs, the man upstairs, decided that he wanted me to work with outreach and work with young people. And that's what led me to that. Now, I wasn't going to go and be involved with education like that. I was going to go and do outreach. I was going to go and do speeches, about staying in school, leadership, team building concepts and all that kind of stuff, and doing the right things, motivation and so whatever. But I had no intentions I had no idea, I should say, that I would be involved with higher education or doing outreach for schools from K to 12. I had the privilege of some years back for the U.S. Army, United States Army military, and asked me to put together a leadership and team program initiative for them, outreach initiative. And I went to 40 major cities in America, and I had to cover 3 million kids in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So that was in 2008 to 2010.
Wow.
And I went out there on a mission, man. I touched a lot of kids. Not everybody gonna play pro sports. We all know that. Okay, but you got to have something else to fall back on. Even though I played the game, I still had to get out the game. I played a long time, but you still got to transition to the real world. And I was ready for the real world in that sense that at least I had an education intact. And I had something I could be proud of. Because they can take away football. That's why they call it NFL. NFL, not for long. So you got to get yourselves ready. And I try to embark that on my students here. Now, most of them, all of them are great kids and young men, young women, aspirations, but we'll make sure that we got something else we can fall back on. So that's part of my thing with that, with the young people and supporting my own life. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do that. I've been very fortunate and blessed to have lived that life and lived it to its fullest. The wild part about it, guys, and I didn't talk about it tonight with you guys, is you talk about health and wellness, man. I never had an operation, never broke a bone, never pulled a muscle.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now I got banged up. I mean, that's the nature of the game. No operations, no pulled muscles. and no broken bones.
Well,
So
when you're the fastest guy on the field, I mean, who's going to hurt you?
Get away from them. Get out.
Mr. Reliable.
Yeah. So,
Very.
survival of the fittest, man. On the big dog, hunt the puppy still in the porch, as I stated early on, man. I use these adages with these guys, these kids every day, man. Everybody want to go to the dance, but nobody want to pay admission to get in. It costs to get in to be successful now. I'm telling you.
It does.
So I use a lot of adages with these guys and young ladies, man, and they're good, great kids, and they're full of venom, they're full of energy, they want to get some stuff done. We got a good program out here. We got a lot of good kids. Our football program, we went 6-6 last year. I'm happy with that. They got a growth spell. They can go from there and move on from that. And we got a great hockey team, girls hockey. We got girls rugby, football. We got it all. And I go out there and cheer them on. I got to go Friday. I got to go. What's the day? Today Wednesday. I got to go Friday to on campus here. We have our girls gymnastic team. I got a lot of my girls in my class, in one of my psychology classes. It's a gymnast. I'm gonna go and cheer them on. So I go and try to cheer them all on. They will ask me to come to the events, and I try my best to support all of them. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Barry, now what does being a New York Giant mean to you today?
Being a New York Giant to me, everything, man. It's about it helped me become what I became. Because mental toughness, had great heart and it had the guts and had the willpower, and not only that, away from the game, being a gentleman, have class, have integrity, have some respect, understand what you're dealing with. I'm in New York. You got millions and millions. Where I come from, 50,000 people in the county, and up here you got 50,000 people in 3 blocks. So, just being able to have self motivation, people skills, soft skills. You talk about communication skills, all of those things, man. I've been proud. I had said I've been in New York all these years and been able to meet a lot of people, man. All the people I've met, all the different cultures that I've been able to. I never had Italian food. I had never had Asian food. I had never had Polish food. I never had the Russian or any of that kind of. Talking about cultures, Latino. I never had none of that kind of food. And I learned a lot of things. I got cultivated when I got up here. I really did. And that helped me in many ways, meeting people, different cultures. And that's what it's all about. Because when you go out and play sports, you don't look at what color somebody is. You go out there and play this guy on my team. I don't care. I never knew that Phil Simmons was a white guy. All I knew was number 11. He's going to get it. Yeah. I didn't ever know that Jim Burke was a white guy. All I knew he was number 64. Or Mark Bavaro, number 89. All I know, 89 was making it happen. I didn't care about what color you are. See, that's the problem. That's the issue here. What about this color and segregation and integration and all this, differentiation stuff? Listen, man, we're about winning. And I put that emphasis on the students here at the university here. We're about winning. We're about, being something and being about team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And we talk about that all the time. And that's part of my thing. And we had a class the other day. Wednesday, Monday. We didn't have class Monday. Yesterday, because of President's Day, we had class yesterday, and the topic was diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we talked about that in our class discussion yesterday with my psychology class. Hey, man, everybody be inclusive. It's about winning. It's about being committed. It's about, having that toughness. And more importantly, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? That's what it boils down to. All these people come up here with all this racial stuff. That's because that mess was taught in the home front. And I believed in that. That is taught in home. That's taught at home. That's not taught in the streets, I don't believe. So I was taught as a boy coming up about, don't hang out with that guy because of the color of that person or because of their religion or their race or whatever, ethnicity. It wasn't about that. It's about if the person is a good person, be around good, but you're as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I believe in that. I put myself in an environment where I try to be around positive people. You be around negative people, you're going to get negative results. And that's just the way it is.
Misery loves company, right?
That's right. Everybody, misery loves company now.
That's what makes football so great, too. Everybody, coming together for one common goal.
Yeah.
And, you guys enjoying a lot. As players together, the camaraderie, and me and George enjoy a lot of stuff as well. And in fact, we enjoy a lot of food, George, on this show. I know, Perry, you're talking about food that you've tried since moving to New York many years ago before. George, I'll turn it to you.
So this is the most serious question of the podcast. This is one that everyone wants to hear an answer to. I'm a big diner guy. I love diners.
Yeah.
I miss a good diner. I don't really have a lot of them around where I live at the moment. What is your go-to diner? Now, typically I ask this question in New Jersey terms, but I'll make an exception for Long Island. What is your go-to spot in Long Island for diner food?
Oh, the pork downer. They got a pork downer not too far from here, Syosset area in Long Island. My go-to down in New Jersey was the TikTok on Route 3.
You're the second guy to say that.
TikTok is still out there on Route 3 in Clifton, ain't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, TikTok was my spot back in the day when I was playing. But over here, I got the pork down. I got a couple other diners that I got to. But I got an Italian restaurant, man. I'm an Italian boy. They call me the BI man, the black Italian out here. So I go to a place called Fanaticos, and that's in Jericho, Long Island. Great place to go, man. You ever come out there, tell your fan base here, called Fanaticos in Jericho, New York. Oh, man, the greatest Italian food you ever eat, man. And if my friend would say, oh, Madron, forget about it.
Ah, yes.
Madron to me.
Well, that's
Perry,
my place, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure, fellas. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you so much. Best of luck at LIU. And yeah, we really enjoyed talking to you tonight. This has been a lot of fun getting to learn your story, where you come from, and your time with the New York Football Giants, and your time now at Long Island University. It's been a pleasure.
Man. Hey, we call them the Long Island University Sharks. Go Sharks, baby.
Yep. Go Sharks. Thanks, Perry.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Go Giants. All
Go
right.
Giants. Go Big Blue.
All righty.
That was good.
That was Perry Williams.
It was awesome.
That's the best part about this gig is, besides all the money we make, it's really a interesting concept to take somebody you know nothing about and just hearing all this stuff. It really amazes me. Speaking of amazement, next week we have a guest. I know we're running over because we talk so much. Next week, right? New York Giants fangirl Adriana will be here. Slightly later start time.
8:15,
right?
Tuesday, February 24th. So yeah, we're going to start 8:15 that night. We got Adriana. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the state of the Giants, what we expect, what we hope for, and all that fun stuff.
And I'm probably going to be a little angrier just because of the state of the Giants the last, how many years, right?
Absolutely. So
George angry? Never.
Crazy.
I was very safe, calm, and polite today.
You were.
Wednesday, that's why.
Yes, that you were. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Tudo. I mean, I had no idea about that. Rolling with the punches on live show. It's such a small world, man. It is such a small world.
So, do you want to do one next week? I guess I already teased it. We might as well, right?
Well, me and Tom will definitely be here.
I don't know about you, George.
I'm getting replaced every week. Is that how this works?
Well, yeah.
We're working
for
on
this reason only. Care to comment?
I'm not going to give you any satisfaction. Go Giants. Go Giants.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Go Big Blue.